Hey guys, welcome back to Brain Dump. I'm Kai. This week, I turned 20. By the time you're listening to this, me and my mom will be in the Bahamas, but for the sake of this podcast, this week, I'm gonna be 20 years old. There are so many feelings that I have about this, and so many emotions are whirling around because it's such a happy time, and it's a sad time, and it's a time of growing up, and it's a time for saying goodbye to my teen years, and it's a lot of shit that I wasn't expecting to feel, and I wasn't expecting to feel this overwhelmed, but like in the best way possible. I'm gonna try not to get emotional during this episode, but I've just been very nostalgic recently, just reflecting on all the shit I've done in the past 20 years. Saying that out loud is so crazy. Like, I've been alive for 20 years? 20 years? Like, since fucking when? You know, I guess it's 20 years ago, but do you get what I mean, though? Like, I feel like I've never, on a birthday, actually thought about the age that I was turning and how old I'm getting. When I turned 18, it was obviously like, wow, yippee, I'm an adult now, but I don't think I looked at it in the same way and in the same sense I'm looking at turning 20. 18 and 20 are very different. I just look at the number 20 and it feels like a huge change. But here's the thing. I have no clue why I remember this, because I have an awful memory, but I also have a very selective memory. So the shit I do remember, I remember very well. When I was 9 years old, I remember freaking the fuck out about turning 10. I think it's something about the first digit changing. When I turned 10, it was like, whoa, double digits. It took a while to get used to. And again, don't ask me why I remember this. I feel like it's the same thing because I've had that one in front of my age for the past 10 years. Wow, that makes me feel so old, being able to say, oh yeah, this such and such has been going on in my life for 10 years? Huh? I am a child! Mentally, no I'm not. No, I'm not. Here's the thing, I feel like in the back of my mind, no matter what, because I am not that person anymore, but in the back of my mind, I am still 16 years old. It's March 13th, 2020. I'm still that sophomore in high school that was so disappointed about my junior year musical being canceled. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like when the world kind of stopped, I jumped out of my body and into a new one. Do you get what I'm saying? I may sound fucking insane. After the world shut down, I feel like something in my brain shifted because we were all kind of forced to be alone with ourselves, and I think we just got to know ourselves with that time. At least that's what it was like for me, and this is where I feel like I'm going to get emotional because I think about that 16-year-old that just found out that high school was never going to look the same again, and I think about all the shit that same 16-year-old went through, and all the shit that's happened in the past 4 years too, and I have to remind myself that, in a sense, I am still that 16-year-old, and I have to show empathy for myself. There's been so much time that I've just spent shitting on myself for how awful of a person I am. I'd like to think that I'm a good person, but I'm also just that, a person. I'm a human being who makes mistakes. So, anyway, all that to say, today I'm going to go into 20 things that I've learned in 20 years. Number 1, you can't change people. There are some people that you're just not going to align with. Even if you did align when you did meet, things evolve, and you don't have to try to change them. If they're growing into the person that they're supposed to be and you're growing into the person that you're supposed to be, it's okay if you have to take your own separate paths. That's just life. If they don't fit in your life, move on. Don't waste your energy on people that could care less about you. Number 2, some things are out of your control. There are going to be things that happen that you can do absolutely nothing about, and that's just life. Some things are going to suck, but later on down the road, I saw why that certain time had to suck because I grew from it. There's just some things that you can't control. Number 3, go with your gut. You should always trust yourself. I feel like I spent a long time just being a follower and not doing what I knew what was best for me. Everything always works out when I go with my gut. Number 4, don't let your anxiety run your life. Anxiety sucks. I know it does. I know. Trust me, I know. It's so necessary, but you can't let it run your life. There were times when I was so insecure about myself, anything anyone would say to me felt like a personal attack. And I feel like that's so selfish to say. Like, literally nobody is thinking about me that much. And everything would seem like it had a deeper meaning. I was reading into things people would say to me in casual conversation, like I'd read into Taylor Swift lyrics. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, my anxiety made me overanalyze things that were not worth overanalyzing because there was no lines to read between. They were like 2 words that I'm overthinking about. And it's something I'm working on, but I'm not going to let that run my life anymore. Number 5, advocate for yourself. I know that I'm my own worst self-critic, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are too, but we undermine ourselves so much as human beings, and it's normal, but sometimes you've got to learn to stand up for yourself and speak your truth, because it's so important to know your self-worth. We think of ourselves as these small little things because we don't take ourselves seriously, but you have to start thinking of yourself as a person that has opinions, you know? That brings me to number 6, stand up for what you believe in. There were so many instances in high school where people went to marches for women's rights and March for Our Lives for gun violence and Black Lives Matter, and I was so anxious about going. Like, I posted my little black screen back in 2020. The fuck did that do? It didn't. I think back to that time and I just wish I could tell my past self to use their voice, because I have so many strong opinions about so many things, and I wish I would have taken more initiative and volunteered in more ways. Ever since I started getting more into activism and actually researching what I'm standing up for, I'm getting more out of my comfort zone by going to these marches and making those phone calls to senators to demand change. You may not think that those little phone numbers do anything, but it does. You may not think your little phone call will help, but it will. I'd like to think of myself now as more of an active advocate for what I believe in, like stricter gun laws. People should be able to have control over their bodily autonomy. No human being is considered illegal. Trans rights are human rights. Black lives do matter. Just all these things that I stayed silent about for so long, but I'm trying my best now to use my voice in any way that I can, because I do think it's very important. Okay, number 7. You will only have satisfaction in your life if you adjust your expectations. Things aren't always going to go your way. If you think that they will, you're in for a rude awakening, because it's just not how the world works. I only started feeling actual satisfaction within my life once I told myself that whatever happens, happens. Number 8, don't diet. I hate, and I do not hate a whole lot of things, but I absolutely hate diet culture. It's not healthy whatsoever. You should be giving your body the food it needs to be energized and nourished. Your body is beautiful no matter what food you put into it. I think of food as fuel. When I eat, I think of it as just that, fueling my body. I've learned that if I don't eat before my workout, I feel like shit. I love to work out. It's something I do every day, so I know that I have to have a good meal, whatever that looks like for me, because it's different for every single person to feel good throughout my workout. All these foods being sold, their main tagline is low calorie this, lose weight in X amount of days. Like, no, we should be putting stuff on healthy foods like this has such and such health benefits. You know what I'm saying? People are so focused on just that mentality of low calorie food and you can only eat X amount of carbs per day, and it's just, you eat whatever you need to eat to feel good. And if anyone has a problem with that, fuck them. Okay, number 9, meditation is so important. I recently read this book. It's called The Art of Solitude by Stephen Batchelor, and it went into how meditation can truly transform you and bring you to such a state of peace. So I've been trying to incorporate more and more meditation into my day. I just read this book like a week ago, so it's a new thing, but I think it's really helping, and it's helping me tune in with myself and just take a minute to drop everything and solely focus on my breathing. Even if it's just like 5 minutes, and I've been trying to slowly build up. Sorry. I always talk with my hands when I'm doing these podcasts, but then I realize that nobody can see my hands because I'm doing like this little building block with my hands, but nobody saw that. So anyway, all that to say, meditation is good. I don't know. I just feel like people don't take it seriously, and it's actually a really helpful thing that I am glad I've discovered now in my life. Number 10, don't be so hard on yourself. This is something that I've always struggled with, and I'm slowly noticing that it's not worth being so hard on yourself. Most of the minuscule decisions that I overthink about and beat myself up over is simply not worth losing sleep over. And yet I've done that, and I've lost so much sleep over the shit that either 1, out of my control, or 2, it wasn't that deep and I'm taking it to an extreme that it doesn't need to be taken to. Number 11, Setting boundaries is the only way to maintain healthy relationships. This is something that they taught me very early on in therapy, and it took me a long time to learn that setting a boundary with someone is not the same thing as saying, here's what you're doing wrong, here's how you need to fix it. That's not a boundary, that's just controlling that person. You have to be able to sit down and have a civil conversation with this person and discuss how you're feeling and ask how they're feeling with this same situation. Going back to my number one, you can't change people. So setting boundaries is having a conversation and being adults, you know? Number 12, I kind of touched on this earlier, but not everyone is thinking of you all the time. You're not that special. I think this is a big thing when it comes to overthinking. When I overanalyze the tiniest thing, but in reality, no one is thinking that deeply into my behavior but myself. We're human beings and we're selfish, you know? Philosopher Thomas Hobbes was right about that. I feel like I get so caught up in myself. It's like, damn, open your eyes and think about other people for once. We are selfish. Sometimes you need that wake-up call, like, damn, stop thinking about yourself for 5 seconds. Number 13, taking care of your body is important. I used to treat my body like shit, and I've learned that it's so important to keep yourself hydrated, keep yourself fed, make sure you're getting your vitamin D. Basic stuff that you do on a day-to-day basis that sometimes we skip. Like, maybe I'm running late. I don't grab food on my way out of the house. I get in my car and I realize I don't have my water. I'm gonna be late if I go fill up my water now. So now I'm leaving the house without food or water. I'm setting myself for a day with no energy. I need that fuel to get me through the day. And everyone does. Don't think that you don't need your fuel, because you do. Because if you don't, you're gonna pass out. 14. You can't help heal anyone if you haven't healed yourself. When I was in high school, I feel like a lot of the relationships I was in was just to distract myself from my own misery. You know, damage attracts damage. So I would be getting into these relationships where I took on their problems as my own. Because, you know, as an empath, it's literally what I do. And I wish I could control that, but I would try so hard to make them happy that I never realized that I was giving them everything I had. I was so emotionally drained that I needed to stop and actually heal. I don't care if I sound like a millennial girl boss, like hashtag this is my journey type bullshit, because I finally healed my mind. And for the first time ever, it's in the headspace where I know I can take on a relationship if I wanted to. And if I don't, I don't. Your healing process is literally that. Yours. Take your time. 15. I've learned that I want to break the cycle and not put my kids through the shit that I went through. I've always wanted to have kids. The older I've gotten, I feel like I've realized how important that is to me. I want to be able to give my child the childhood that I couldn't have. I don't want my kid to stress about bills. I don't want my child to grow up in an emotionally unstable home, and I will never expose my child to any form of abuse. I simply will not tolerate that. 16. Going outside every day is important. During quarantine, I got so depressed, and I feel like a huge part of it was because I did not leave my bedroom. Vitamin D is so important. Guys, again, I sound like I'm telling you what to do. This is me yelling at myself. This is kind of me talking to my younger self. This is shit I would say. I'm just trying to put that out there so you don't think I'm fucking yelling at you and telling you what to do, because you can do whatever the hell you want with your life. Okay. 17. You have to turn every bad situation into a lesson learned. I used to waste a lot of time thinking about these awful situations as so shitty, and I've grown accustomed to thinking of them as something that I've learned and grown from. That's a big thing that I've been realizing lately. As an adult, you can... literally everything I say is so freaking cheesy. You can watch yourself flourish and become the person that you want to be. Like, I would not be this Kai today if I didn't go through said awful situations. 18. You're a human being and you're going to make mistakes. I held myself to such an unrealistic expectation. I started to think of myself as a bad person. And you don't have to be a bad person just because you did a bad thing. If you've done a bad thing, you have to make things right and learn from it. 19. Anything can happen. If you told me a year ago what my life looks like now, oh my god, I would have a full mental breakdown. Like, I'm being real. I have 2 people still in my life that were there at this time last year. that sucks. It does. It really sucks, but it made me realize that things are going to change. Things that you may think will never change will change. But that's the great thing about things happening. Things will change. And change will always result in growth. I promise. Alright, number 20, live in the now. This is a hard thing for anyone that has anxiety because it's the fear of the unknown. That's what anxiety is. So anxious people are constantly thinking about what's coming or what just happened. There has been never a good middle point with that, at least for me. Meditation has really helped with this, just focusing on your breath and disconnecting yourself from everything else for a few minutes. Living in the present moment is so important because if you don't, your life is just going to go by before you even know it happened. And I want to live every moment while I'm here because being alive is such a gift. And again, I'm not trying to be that bitch. Hashtag blessed. It's just we are so fortunate to be here, all living at the same time. So be nice to people. We're all trying our fucking best. Yeah. Oh my god! Let me tell you something. This was the first episode idea I came up with for this podcast. And I have been waiting to record this all year. So, yeah. I feel like I got everything on that list that I wanted to. And I'm proud. And I'm proud of myself. Because I'm going to be freaking 20? What? Oh, I'm freaking the fuck out. It's fine. Okay. Let me get through my top 5 songs of the week. This is in no particular order, once again. The Lucky One by Taylor Swift. Great song. I feel like I'm just getting back into Red because it's fall. Oh my god. Even though it's about to be like Christmas. Hello. Someone New by Hozier. I just love Hozier. Great guy. Guts by Augustine. Gorgeous by Taylor Swift. It's a great song. And also it was one of the surprise songs at the show that I went to. So it's just, I love that song. It makes me smile and think of that day. And then I Like the Way This Is Going by Eels. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. There probably won't be an episode next week because we come back, I think, the day that I'm supposed to release another episode. So I'm just, yeah. I'll talk to you guys when I'm 20. That's crazy. Remember, you're loved, you're valued, you're appreciated, and I don't know, getting older is gonna be okay. It's gonna be great, and I'm so excited for my 20s. It's gonna be great. Yeah. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.